Fuck yeah, homie dog G. Okay, hit the button. Okay, recording has started. I will do my intro. Heyo Friendos, heyo Friendos, heyo, bow 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 bow, and welcome to episode 5 of Worm/Parahumans with your host Berry Goldheart and my good friendo FallenFromGlory. I'm gonna have a little freak out here in a second, here screaming a word and then going over pieces of it. What?
It's not the word you think.
Is this episode 4? Okay. No, this is 5, right? 5 is 5? Am I going crazy?
5 is 5.
Okay, good. So, okay. Phew, good. Good. I will now start screaming. Justification! Justification! Yeah, for real. So many things I've justified on. It feels great. Feels wonderful. But what was so funny was I started reading this one and I get my first thing of justification, but ammo, twins, right out the gate. And then I immediately get sucker punched with, hey, it's been over a week since, like, she was injured and, like, we're past all that. I'm like, son of a meow, with the blink. I can't believe this happened. Yeah, and then my other things that I was talking about, like, really just like, yeah, you know, especially when it's an interlude, it goes, yo, Berry Goldheart, you were so right. Oh, gee, here's a cookie. Bam, here's another one. Bam, you were so right about this. You're so right about that. And I love it. So, yeah, feeling real good here, dog. Yeah.
I was sent 2 screenshots a couple days ago out of nowhere with, I was so right, and then I was so wrong.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It's so funny. I gotta... Okay. I'm just gonna send that to you. It was Barney trying to send you some random thing. Anyways,
Holy
that's been sent,
Jesus.
so I can just look up to the disco.
Sorry, I didn't realize that that the Martians had arrived and were trying to communicate with me.
I didn't realize that either, but the paraphrase happens. Good luck deciphering that. You're on your own. I did enough etymology for today.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, so, big theories. I have so much to say. I figured out the entire plot line of Worm. I have it all figured out, folks. No need to thank me anything, but I got it done, pegged to a T. I know exactly what's going to happen, what the problems are going to be, and how it's going to resolve, and all that other stuff. I did it. You're welcome.
That's also
Anyways,
something I was sent,
let me get into
not
that.
the actual theory. So I have no idea how right or wrong you are yet.
All right. So you know how I said the femur of Sararak? Anyways, I was right.
No. No, you were
It
not.
sounds kidding, but I am right. Okay, so if y'all remember, Sararak wound up like stealing knowledge from Vecna and then betraying Vecna, and then Vecna was like, never again will anyone steal my secrets. Yeah, I went all cuckoo. Anyways, so that led me to Vecna, and Vecna led me to everything I needed to put together how Worm works. Well, okay. Vecna led me to... Vecna led me to, specifically, your favorite place in that D&D, the City of Doors, Sigil. And all the stuff he did when he was messing with them. And that... Screw you, it is. It is. No, I know it's not. I know you have more favorite places, but yeah, Sigil's cool, and I know you liked Sigil.
I do like Sigil. It's interesting.
Right there. Yeah. But honestly, like, there's some random bars that are more interesting. But, that's just how D&D do.
Yeah. And last I checked, this was a Worm podcast, not a D&D podcast. So I'm
Oh, it
really
is!
confused and interested to see
I'll get to you.
what your theory is.
Okay, so, oh boy. Vecna made themselves a center part of a thing that they did through Sigil to go into becoming a multi-dimensional threat going across space and time. Anyways, they did that. They got their ass kicked, but still they did that. Now, when Stranger Things, the TV show, happened, no one up, they utilized Vecna as one of the characters in there. And Vecna does it again, where Vecna grabs the 12 people, the 12 kids, and uses them as his sigil to start, breaking his way between space and time. And the way he does that is by setting up a toroidal field using the kids. So, yeah, he uses the kids to create a toroidal field with himself placed at the center and all the different places around space and time on the edges going all around it. And using them as the, basically the wormholes to go from one side, where him, out to the other. Like, that's his plan. You can see it building up and what he's doing. So, all of that led me back to Takamox, and Takamox are a type of, basically, to summarize it for people, they're part of nuclear laboratories and stuff like that. And Takamox, of course, led me back to toroidal fields, which led me to poloidal fields, and all these other things. But back to toroidal fields, which felt very important. So, toroidal fields also affect not just things with radiation, but also magnetics. And with a bunch of other theories, they affect the heart and all these other radiuses around the heart and one's own internal vibe that they generate. So people have toroidal fields around them, but toroidal fields are also set up for crossing into barriers and everything. And if you want to create a Einstein-Rosen bridge, you would be able to do so basically anywhere you wanted. But if you use a toroidal field, you can get to exactly where you want to go. And if you centered a toroidal field on something, then you can get around it by using Einstein-Rosen bridges, aka wormholes, to get from one point based off of a person or subject to any other point around that person or subject, whether in space or time. So that's where I think we get the name worm from. So, okay, this is all really important here. And what I think is going on. So, okay, I played a game in the past. First, before I get anywhere further, are you following me so far, Fallen?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. Although I do want to say that
is working.
Every time you say toroidal field, all I can think of is the oil field, and that's all. That's the only comment I have so far.
Okay, so this leads us back into XCOM Apocalypse.
Oh God. Okay.
For those who don't know, it's Apocalypse. I thought that's lying to you. I tinfoil hat. XCOM Apocalypse. Oh boy. Takes place a while after the first alien war and all that other crud. And what happens is humans are living in these big megacities and stuff that are separated out. But there's a dimensional rift kind of thing going on here. With these huge tetrahedrons, which are another geometric shapes, that, bring invading parties, basically, of the aliens that you encounter in this one. Which, as it turns out, while you're studying them and stuff, aren't truly alien. They're extra-dimensional beings who are from, a space between dimensions and everything like that, and actually captured some of the aliens who are traveling through dimensions and use that as how they found your dimension and are trying to, populate them, be in your dimension. So all that's going on. There is so much going on in XCOM Apocalypse. I do not have the time to go over all of it here. But that is what allowed me to make the final connections I needed for my toroidal field theory about worm and why it's called worm and all this other stuff. Boom. Okay, so that built up a big part. Y'all follow me so far?
Yeah. Yeah, sure am.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, now, in worm, we have, the name worm, which, comes from worm, which, before it ever meant, little tiny earthworm thing and stuff there, it meant, dragon, giant frickin' serpent and sea serpents and these sorts of things like that, and like the Chinese docile dragon and all of that stuff. It meant that before it ever meant earthworm. And now these things, giant dragons, are known for having magical powers, all this other stuff there and whatnot. And one of the big ones is transitionings, especially when you look at the Chinese ones, and we're seeing a lot of Chinese characters. So we have this thing that goes and sends basically, start as a fish, you become a dragon at the end type of stuff, right? Blah, blah, blah. So all that sort of stuff there for transitions, changing from nothing to something dramatic, basically being the thing, So all of that stuff changes, moving between planes, the sky and the water becoming one, stuff like that. All this sort of stuff around the concept of the worm back in its old original tradition. So that brought me back around to where we are. So I believe that worm is a word which relates to so much more going on with this story. But we need one more piece from a word in here in order to start building the theory correctly. And that's SOB Dr. Haywire. So, Dr. Haywire split a dimensional rift and found Earth Aleph, which is Earth 1. Cool boy. So I could go more into Earth 1 and my theories and speculations on it. I personally think that it is really interesting. So Earth Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, come on, man, it means so much stuff here. Okay. So that one means basically more in line with God and everything there. And it means strength from that, from wisdom and everything. So, and there's so much content. Look at Psalm 119 and you see so much stuff going on with Aleph. So much. It just, humility, wisdom, all this other stuff. It's so good. Anyways, I'm going to skip over most of that. Y'all can read it at your own leisure. But the point is, it brings me to Earth Aleph, Earth 1, so that's really cool. Humble, all this other stuff. Why is it called 1 instead of being called 2 when it was found by this Earth that we're in and stuff there really makes me think that it does relate more to the origin point. So that's really interesting. It's closer to origin point. It's closer to God, to the origin, to power, to the beginnings. All this stuff has hit me in a way that made me go, okay, let's say that the dimension or whatever, or plane that Parahumans takes place in all connects to a different point where things changed. And I go, what in the histories of the world there is the oldest thing we know that's different than our own history? And that made me hit that SOB Scion. So, Scion is there, the first hero, etc. Right? He didn't know words. He didn't know jack dilly squat. And toroidal fields are often placed around a person when we talk about magnetics, vibes, all these sorts of things. I believe that he himself is the center point at the center of the toroidal field where this story is taking place from. All the dimensions, all the different stuff going on and whatnot, all relates to him at the center of the toroidal field. So, what do I think's going on here? I think him being this nexus of power and stuff like that at the beginning of this center of this field is at also the start of all these different dimensions and planes and all these other worlds and stuff, right? And I think we're going to have something like Bruce Lee's The One going on where it's because there's a split to all these different dimensions and everything that was, caused by his existence and going off a certain direction here, powers and stuff are sort of split between that stuff. I'm assuming something like that. However, we're seeing something happen. So Scion has slowly gotten better. He's been able to talk and do stuff as he grows from being this perfect person to being even more. we have our heroes and villains not killing each other, and instead, oftentimes severely injuring each other, getting them really, really hurt. And what we see is, like, after they come back from that, they have, especially in this chapter we see it, they have more power. They've grown. So, my assumption is that this is the goal, is to collect, to build up all this power along everything from these different dimensions and stuff, and then to bring it all together, you know, to pull it. Like, every person here is a worm, you know, that they're a connective point from that end of the toroidal field to the other end, which we don't know what's on the other end of the toroidal field. So, that's what I believe, and that he's going to become the nexus that wants to absorb all of it or use them all to catch from his point, the start, to the end, which we don't know what that is. That could be his death. That could be beyond. That could be a threat that he exists in opposition of. Or even himself when he's gone mad or something. I don't know. But it's going to want to absorb all their power and choices and stuff to become this perfect being. And that might be how he was born in the first place, was by being the fusion of all these different worms, different people, Schwom, to create that point. And I think that's going to be the big central thing. Everyone's going to come together and either become him versus this other threat, or face him when he's lost his mind. You know. And Vecna got me there, and so did Dr. Haywire. There's a little more to it, but that's what I got right now. Yeah. Oh, and the haywire was really important because the word haywire means several things as well. So it starts from meaning like the hay bale, a really shitty cheap wire thing you would put on it that would then they'll snap and break it and make the hay go everywhere. So that's why I think, you know, the people are, the hay has got everywhere, different dimensions, they're planes, they're people. And it also means like haywire is a type of group of people who would go out, chop trees, and work together with these really dangerous like jobs and stuff. And we see all these different characters are forming these haywire groups. So, I think that name was really important to drop really early and means a whole lot for what's going on with the story and how it's going to go down. And yeah, that's basically it. There's a little more to it than that, but that's the basics that I can bring up right now of this crazy theory of how I think the story is going to go. Yeah, there you go. I did it. I solved the whole story for you. It also explains why they don't just kill each other all the time. Because, like, really, people should be killing each other more. They don't. So that brought me there, too. Because otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a follow-up question.
Yeah. Follow-up question.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your confidence in that theory?
I'm gonna give it like a solid 7.5. Yeah, 75%.
7.5. Okay.
75% confidence. Yeah.
Okay.
That's feel. Because it's not gonna be aliens. It's not gonna be like demons and stuff. This feels more like you, and it's been setting up for us, and it's given us clues. Like in the first chapter, it gave us the first thing. And then in the second or third chapter, it gave us the next part I really needed for this theory. And now that we've gotten here, we've gotten to the point where you can put it all together. Because like, I could see not just Taylor after a big accident and injury and stuff being there, but everyone else. Like we got to see, our ABB guy, Lung, after his, big injury. Now he's back and he's bigger than he's ever been. All this sort of stuff. So I really think that's what it's building up to, is this super build up for a reason. I think the toroidal field and the way that works is going to be what it's about. I think all their choices that they've made along this way of building up their own power are like part of what makes them the worm. Each of those is like a wormhole. That's a point in time where they can go through in between. So there's another tweak that could happen to this theory, is that maybe those who are in the haywires, like different groups, are in themselves the ones who will be able to go along all of their choice paths to see and find the penultimate path when it gets to that point, and therefore become their strongest, best version of themselves or whatever, or even of all their buddies and things, something like that. But like, I really feel this is the way it's going. And that's what it is, because, like, it's gotta be, man. It's gotta be.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm insane and putting too much effort into, Vecna and random D&D liches and making them connect to a story that's not D&D based. But, we'll see. We'll see. When that gold miner
Yeah.
shows up with a Sararax golden femur, I'm gonna show everybody, like, I did it. I'm right. Y'all can suck it. Yeah. Cheers.
Okay. I'm honestly not sure how to react to any of
That's
that.
why
I'm
Scion's
not
going.
really
He
sure what to
is a
say.
Sararax femur. Holy shit.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. Let's calm down here.
I put it all together.
Okay.
That's what I tapped it all
Pull
together. I
back.
did it.
No,
Oh, I feel so
pull here. Pull
good.
back from that. From that. um.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
good.
I think I'm just gonna have to. Okay.
It
I'm
all
just gonna
makes
have to
sense now.
say nothing. Then just say that is definitely a theory. I liked it. I
That is my
mostly
theory.
followed
I'm
it,
sticking by it so much. It makes so much sense.
and in fact, I have
Yeah.
a sort of numerical value on percentage of how much of that was right, and I don't think you would be able to guess what that number is.
Look at it, 0%.
So
Yes.
it's not 0%. It's also definitely not 100%.
Wait.
But it's somewhere between those two numbers.
Darn.
That's all.
Died. So
That's
close.
all I'm going. That's all I'm going to give
Oh
you.
my god. I can't wait. Boy, I'm
can't wait
such
either.
a genius. I'm a genius.
When you figure out the truth, you're going to look back on these like theories, and they're going to be the funniest shit. Because I'm finding them to be the funniest shit
Oh
right now.
man, I hope I'm not kicking myself, but oh my god. Wait, maybe I will. Maybe I'll laugh
Also-
at myself. Oh well,
Yeah,
whatever.
well,
I'm
we'll see.
excited to get there.
Oh yeah, I'm also excited to get there. And the faster we get through these recordings, the sooner you get to read the next chapter. So why don't we start with the
That's
first
right.
part
Let's
of
go.
this arc. So yeah, so we kind of tune in, and we get a bit
I
from
think we need
Taylor
to say
here
something before
about
first bite.
Sure.
Also,
What?
I do want to say one other thing about the site that kind of bothers me. If you go to cast and you click it, it's in like alphabetical order or something like that. It's not set up in order of introduction, so I just have to avoid it.
Sorry. There was an entire interlude that I
Yeah.
didn't see. It's so the way I
You
read
missed one.
was through the website. Yeah, I was just clicking next chapter, next chapter, next chapter, next chapter, and there are if that's that one. No, there are two. There are two whole epilogues I didn't see. How does that happen?
Well, it's like you get to have some fun reading too. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and
Don't
read those.
know, but
I
hey,
don't
more
know how
work
that
content for
happened.
you.
Yeah, fucking apparently. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not terribly important from what I can read, but they're interesting. There's almost
Yeah.
who the fuck is Stan? Anyway, not important. I'll
I
think
don't
about
know.
that
I haven't
later.
met them yet.
Yeah, sorry. So once you get a little further into the story, there ends up being more interludes called bonus interludes, and those were essentially like Patreon goals, where like
Nice.
as he was making as he was getting hitting donation goals, he would um add extra chapters like from different characters' perspectives, talking about minutia about the world. Most of them weren't super important in terms of like plot stuff. There was one though. There was one in particular, one bonus interlude that had some really important stuff from what I remember. Actually, two. There were a couple that were very important, but most of them are not. But they are like interesting, and they do give you clues to things. So,
yeah. See, I already figured out the entire story though. I got the whole thing done. So, I'm so cool.
No comment.
It's okay. You can praise me.
I mean, okay. You want some praise? I'll give you praise.
Woof.
That was fucking fantastic. I'm not going to tell you why it was fantastic, but it was fantastic. Fantastic. Stemming from the word fantastical. Yeah. That's for sure. So, beyond that, are we ready to move? Are we ready to move into actual text of the chapter? Because you had a lot to say about this meeting at the bar.
Oh, I do. Yeah,
so,
I do. I do.
Leading into this, we find out that Taylor basically got really hurt. Obviously, you remember that from the last arc. And so she's basically been in bed for a whole week. It's been a week. So,
yeah.
She's sick and tired of fucking sitting around. She is getting extremely agitated. Capital A. And wants to get out there and do some shit. And then she gets told about this meeting between the different gangs in the city and crews, and she's like, I'm gonna fucking be there, and so she's there. And then they show up at the Summers Rock, which is like some neutral ground that they've all agreed to never like attack each other at or destroy or try to own, and have a discussion about the fucking terror campaign that's happening in the city and how it's really bad for all of them because criminals rely on order and peace just as much as everybody else to make money. So they're talking about doing something about it. So why don't we open up there? What did you think about that whole scene?
Yeah. It's so funny because only two of them benefit from things being peaceful, and that is the racists and the paramilitary men. Coyle and Kaiser are the only two who actually benefit from things being peaceful in the city. Everyone else would actually be doing way more business and making more money if they went with like chaos and shit. But the problem is, none of these dumb motherfuckers have ever been around or understand the military bases, how they work, or the people around them work. So none of them have the way of handling that, which they should have. They should at least have someone who can get them up to snuff. But, it should just be, instead of, Tuesday's like Tuesday, they go, okay, now Tuesday is like Wednesday. Okay. But they just don't have that experience. Like, I don't know. I'm dumb. Let's work with these guys and make things better for them. Because we're dumb and don't know how to utilize this. That's sort of how it felt for me. Because what the fuck, guys? Like, this is where you guys make so much more money and profits and stuff.
That's fair. I will say, at least in terms of like Fault Line's crew, they kind of, I don't remember if they stated this yet or not, but they don't do any business inside the city like ever. They try to avoid it. They just have their base here and then they leave to go do shit. So that way they don't get like pissed off the like locals.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So they get really hired to go do, mercenary work, whether it's wet work or the things. For them, the only problem is their base might be hit, but they can get a new one.
Yes.
Theirs is probably even half like a cover anyway, full of only partial their stuff. So, meh. But, and they said if the ABB paid them, they'd join them right away in a heartbeat. That one's really legitimate thinking about it as a business other than Coil who's going, shit, this ruins my stuff. You know? Because he has the most legitimate part of the city. Like, it does ruin his stuff. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Kaiser's people benefit from a functional system so that they can ruin everybody else's lives. You know? Like, woof.
Mm-hmm.
They need, like, corrupt mayors and stuff, you know? Who utilize the law to get them out of bullshit, you know? Like, that's the kind of stuff they use. So, yeah. Everyone else, though, this is better for you.
Like, they benefit more from, like, pissed off, like, middle class and upper class people than, like, more homeless people, you know?
Right? Whereas, like, my favorite interaction here was between, I think they're called the merchants and the Kaiser's crew. Like, that was the most realistic interaction I saw. Like, sure, we're on ground where we're not gonna, you know, like, kill each other and stuff, but I'm gonna screw you over and treat you as an inhuman thing. You know, that just felt very real. Like, I'm gonna get away with what I can. I mean, hey, you guys, you stand for the opposite of what I am. And that was really great. That was very realistic. I love that. But simultaneously, we also got the least realistic thing happening here. And again, in relation to Kaiser's crew, which was the whole thing with Hookwa.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So
yeah,
Hookwa's grievance that he brings up. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So we meet all the groups in the city now. Finally, like pretty much every major player, including a surprise addition to the table, which is the Travelers, who most of the people here hadn't even heard of, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, no, we're itinerant. We're just passing through. If anyone wants us for anything, let us know. Otherwise, we're just gonna kind of chill and stay out of it. I guess we'll help with the bombing campaign or whatever. But you know, we're not staying, so." Don't worry about us. And then we get to meet a ton of new people. So yeah. If you want to give your thoughts on the different groups before you get into your grievances with the way that certain people were written.
Oh boy, yeah, okay. Yes. Like, because there's ways you can make it work, but they didn't do that. Anyways. So, let's see here. Kaiser's crew is, you can tell that he's taken a lot of work getting the best of the best of what his kind of people have to offer and surrounding himself with the best of those group. And, like, the other ones who aren't nearly to that quality are still there, but they're off to the side. They're doing their own thing. But you'll notice he's also doing a major show of force here, because unlike everyone else who has their group all sit away from them in their own little area, he brings 3 of his commanders basically with him to the table. So he's got the twins, Fenya and Menya, something like that. The 2, Valkyrie ladies who can, like, transform huge. He has those 2 right beside him, to either side of him when he goes to sit down, and he's in his full armor, made to be as pretty as he can and as, full as he can. And behind him, in a chair, sits the lady from the previous chapter, who's, doesn't want to be connected to him, but is willing to accept that to get things done. I can't remember her name right now. What was it? Purity. So yes, you have 4 people at the head of the table, and with the way it was described, it sounded to me like they were nearest the door. Is that right?
I don't know. It might be.
Okay. So yeah, the way it was described, it felt like that, because it seemed like people had to go past them. So,
it might have been.
In this kind of situation, owning the door or owning the wall opposite the door are both really important, because you're opposite the door, then you see what's going on with the entrance and everything. You know when people are coming and going, you're able to defend yourself. But if you are on the other side, facing the closest to the door, then you're saying that you're focused on everyone else here and stuff, but you control whether or not anyone gets in or out of this place. So it felt like he took that route, especially with how armored he is and how capable his people are. So no one could escape if they decide to start a fight. He'd have that covered. But at the same time, if he had to fight, he would make sure the offender stayed within there and was taken out. So it was a really interesting spot for him to be. And also the show saying he thinks everyone's weaker than him because he's literally got the back of his neck to the door. So if someone sent an assassin or something or tried to get him now, he wouldn't see it. But he's saying he's so well defended he doesn't have to. So he's doing a big power play with what he's doing and how he's setting himself up.
Yeah, there's definitely like several layers there.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, there's a lot going on with Kaiser and his setup. Love it. I really love the travelers coming in. I've seen a lot of people like that who they don't really live in the area they're at, but they still do business, whether that's people who live out on boats and then come on in and do something like they really do live at sea, and then they do some work in towns and stuff, or they live out in villages and they come by, or they're just moving around so much because they do work over in like Canada and Alaska and just up in other places, Like, there's a lot of different people like that. So seeing a group like that here was really nice and felt, yeah, those type of people are legit. Wow, nice. Only had one problem with their representation in this chapter, which was that one of the characters there wanted to not be traveling around anymore and stuff. I never encountered a person who was like that. They always they couldn't function staying still or in one place, and that's why they moved around a lot. So that was like the right lifestyle for them. So that was a little odd, but interesting to give that character its own unique personality.
Yeah, and maybe that'll become relevant later.
Here.
Maybe that's a look into something about them that we'll see. We'll definitely be seeing more of these guys. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that when I say that there are a couple of interlude arcs, the travelers are featured in one of them, where we really get a lot of time exploring them and their histories and personalities and stuff.
Awesome, as I like them. They're great. Let's see. That the leader of them really gave me how do I say this? Like how do I say this without being offensive?
His name is Trickster.
The quasi Shadow Man vibes. Yeah. He gives me quasi Shadow Man vibes. Like if a Shadow Man, or rather man under a Shadow Man, and like Coyote were kind of like fused together. Like that was those vibes he's giving off,
Huh.
Really,
okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you understand.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I know enough about Coyote.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Technically, with Shadow Man, there's only one. There's other people called Shadow Man, but they're not truly Shadow Man, but they're called a Shadow Man. That's different. So yeah, like he feels their combination of those two concepts as a singular character, but toned down a little. It's really interesting. I can't wait to see more of him and what's going on. And done. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to list up other people so I can say my opinions about them?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, we got to see, I think all of the travelers were in attendance here today. With Trickster, Sundancer, Genesis, there's one more, Ballistic. Probably don't have much opinions on any of them yet. Although Genesis, pretty sure shows up in like some sort of
Not
changer
yet.
form, and everyone's like, that thing's kind of freaky.
Oh yeah. They were like the weird the demon gorillas. What are they called? They were like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they
And
called? I may have to go look this up now.
there's a there is an interesting reason behind that I think you're going to like a lot later when we get to it. But yeah, there's not much to say about them just yet, other than their presence here is interesting. And done
Girl
fairly
on.
well.
That's what they reminded me of. Yes. Yeah.
That Discord cut that word out entirely for me.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, the gorillon. Like, yeah, like one of the D&D monsters.
Okay.
Anyways, that made me
Yeah.
really reminiscent
Okay.
of that. Just,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's reminiscent
so
of a
woof.
D&D
That was kind of
monster.
interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
And then besides that, we had the merchants. There's only 3 of them. There's the merchants
those
might have the most like normal members in the city because they pretty much just like absorbed like all the homeless and like and like petty criminals and like drug addicts and shit. Pretty much everywhere they kind of uh like control them like anywhere that's not anyone else's territory. I believe that's kind of how they're described. Is they're like they don't really have territory; they just exist where the other gangs aren't. Which is pretty much everywhere no one cares
Well,
about.
there was something about territory that they mentioned. I think one of them mentioned that they hold territory, and then it was discount of like, fuck you do. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
like,
more the
"We
reality
own
of it.
blah, blah, blah,
Wherever
blah."
they can actually get a foothold is where they are.
Yeah, it's more like
Yeah,
they're
you'll say, we
yeah,
sell
we
to
own this
anybody. We
area.
do that. It's like, yeah.
And then
Yeah, because one said.
the reason they think that they claim to own it is because that's a spot where they like live and operate and do business, and nobody seems to give a shit. But another group was like, actually, we own that, and they're like, you don't have like any enforcers or even people watching the area, and we've been there for like weeks, so clearly you don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's more subtext stuff that's not gone over specifically here, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much how they operate.
Yeah, with the things they're saying, they give the impression that they're saying, you guys need to treat us like we're an actual group here. Whereas the things they're saying underneath is, we're the chink in all of your guys' armor. Where you fail, we propagate. When you guys go down, we'll take your spot. That's basically what they're saying without directly saying it.
Yeah, they're essentially scavengers, rats, cockroaches. They wait, or vultures. They wait for an opening, and then they just take everything they can, and then run away when something bigger comes along, right, to reclaim it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they're saying it, while still, doing a gang thing and vying for reputation when, again, they actually have nothing to benefit this situation other than scouting, and they don't seem to give a shit about that role. They don't seem interested in it.
No.
When honestly, I thought they should have been offering up at the table.
Yeah, but that's as far as their normal members go.
Yeah.
As Kates, there's 3 of them. There's only 3. There's Skidmark, Squealer, and Mush. Some great, very classy names, obviously. Did you get any sort of vibes or anything, just interesting notes from any of them?
Not really. Like, what I got from them was like if they were Nosferatu who didn't want to do Nosferatu jobs. That's sort of the vibes they were giving me.
They're Nosferatu with ambitions.
You are geared to do
Ventru.
certain things. Why, like, Like, you guys have these clear talents to get certain kinds of things done, and yet you're focused on the absolute wrong things. And that's why you're bottom tier, cockroach trash. You know? Like, get your shit together, and you guys could be a legitimate threat to everybody here, and be at the table properly.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck? It's like,
Yeah, so
I
honestly,
don't know, they all just give me that sort of vibe in general. Like, I already have their exact experiences down, because I was like, y'all are basically different flavors of the same thing.
mhm. Yeah, and it's kind of sucks in a city like this,
Yeah.
where, because like, a lot of people who end up in gangs end up there not because they want to. It's not like a conscious choice that they went out and made one day. It just kind of like happens. And in a city like Rockton Bay,
Okay.
it's very specific, where like specifically set up for it to be extra shitty. Because if you're going to end up in a gang, you're going to think, well, I'm going to join one of the one of the successful ones, one of like the nice ones, or like one of like the ones that like kind of like will have my back, take care of me, and that kind of thing. And unfortunately, your options are the white supremacist
I don't.
and the Asian gang. So if you aren't one of those two things, you're kind of stuck with the merchants. There's not really any choice beyond that.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
although it says like, oh, there's a bunch of gangs at this table in quotation marks, they're actually not gangs. They're crews, right? Fault Lines gang isn't a gang. They're like a crew, right?
Yeah.
And like the Undersiders, they're a crew.
Yeah.
The Travelers, they're a crew, and they're not even local. It's like they don't live here. And Coyle doesn't even hire capes
Yeah.
or anything. He doesn't even he doesn't have like underlings, quote unquote, like minions and stuff. He hires mercenaries. So unless you've got some
Right.
military background, you're not getting in there.
But I love Coil's guys, by the way. We see out of them in this chapter and everything. Like, incredibly respectful, incredibly to the point. They're there for what they're there for. And, they know they've signed up to die to get shit done. Like, they know it. They're going that way, and they're really respectful about anything. Love them. Honestly, I would work with these guys any day of the week. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
honestly,
like
no great.
it's kind of like um it's kind of sad. It's kind of like this is like getting into a bit of into like some dark territory. But if they are like for families like living in like a really
No,
like
that's
extra
it.
shitty situation, especially in a place that might be controlled by someone, by a group kind of like the ABB. Sometimes they might get into trouble, and it kind of comes down to like the like females in the family to you know offer themselves as like in term like in place of like monetary thing. And for men, that's kind of like this is kind of that for men, right? Where it's like I'm like I've got a family that needs money bad, and the only thing I can do is pick up a gun and go get shot to death, right?
Yeah. Exactly. But like, I know how to do it, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this for my
Yeah,
family. Yeah, they're
yeah. They're
they're a
mostly
walking sacrifice,
like
and it's
veterans,
really
right?
interesting. I like them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
it, it's cool. I can't
yeah,
wait to see more themes played with on them. It's cool.
yeah. I'll say like they
Yeah,
don't have
it's
like a
uh,
they're not like a major presence in the story, but they have a rather significant impact in ways you might not expect as this throughout the story. And in fact, something happens
nice,
during this arc that I'll talk about later.
nice.
With one of them in particular, that was very very important. But that's for the fight
Yeah,
scene
dude,
later. We're still
dude.
here at the
Yeah,
bar.
this.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember
Oh,
how
oh
many
my gosh.
fucking
Yeah.
capes the Empire brought here today. Uh, I don't or who they were. I know Hookwolf was there, obviously. Um, I did. Hookwolf
Yeah.
might have brought his buddies. I don't know if Krieg showed up. I don't think any of the like the lesser dudes showed up. But it's like Fenya Menya, Hookwolf, Kaiser.
There
Maybe a
was
couple
like
more.
3 or 4 people with Hookwolf who were described briefly, but it was more over their physical description rather than anything else. So they're just sort of
Okay,
like
yeah, 'cause Taylor
there.
probably has some. Yeah, Taylor doesn't really
Yeah.
know who those people are yet, but those would have been Cricket and Storm Tiger, almost certainly. So that like white supremacy itself, right? There are different flavors, um, and they don't necessarily all get along.
Oh yeah.
Although they might work together when presented with a larger threat, like the ABB, for example. And that's definitely true of the Empire. There are so many goddamn caves in the Empire that they're not really unified. Like they all listen to Kaiser, but like underneath Kaiser is like a several like generals almost, and those generals kind of have their faction within the Empire, right? So Hookwolf is kind of there as like he's like I don't listen to anybody but Kaiser, and these people below me, like Cricket, Storm Tiger, they're mine.
Yeah.
Nobody, they don't listen to anybody but me or Kaiser, right? So like they kind of go off and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like you
It's
have
really interesting because
other
like when you
leaders.
have those kinds of groups, they really have we got weird determinations of what makes someone white, etc. Like for most
Mhm.
of history, they didn't consider like Scots or Irishmen white at all. They were considered their own nasty thing. Same with anything about them
Mhm.
or their religions and stuff. So it's really an interesting space when you try to get those guys together and all. I'm like, yeah, we hate anyone who's not us and stuff, but like none of
Yeah,
you guys are you and stuff. You know, like even those who like hate the Jews often have a bit of Jewish blood in them and stuff, and are like, yeah, our Jews terrible. And it's like, dude, you're only part white. Like, do you know anything about your regions, like stuff, like where Bulgarians come from? Like, well, the saying, you know,
yeah, and it's like they also
like,
had
yeah,
like historic. It's interesting, actually, now that I think about it, the travelers being here at this meeting is extra interesting, um, because historically, the Nazis had a very specific hatred for travelers, like the people, right? Like the
yeah,
Romani, the Irish
Romani and all
travelers,
sorts of
people
other
like
people,
that.
man. But yeah,
Yeah, even like the other like people who used to fall under the banner of of the quote unquote gypsy label who aren't Romani. Pretty much anyone from Europe, from anywhere from Europe to Southern Asia who belongs to a culture based around being that were nomadic rather than having a place. They'd consider all of them to basically be like a fucking like they would consider them to be like not human, no matter what their ethnicity like or skin color or anything was. They could be 100% Aryan and they didn't
yeah.
care.
So the fact they got so much respect was really interesting and provides us into a really interesting point here. So when we see Kaiser, right, every time we've seen him, he is the most black coated, you know,
Yeah,
him
that still cracks
white
me up.
supremacist of like all time. You know, like he really is, and he's got the crown and everything now. Like this guy looks like he has a freaking Big E poster right in his like apartment house. You know, like right above his bed or something. Like this is the kind of guy he feels like. You
He
know,
literally walked
honestly,
in
like
with
you walking around like that.
yeah, he literally walked into this meeting with like supermodel arm candy, like like brother. Do
Yeah,
you have any
right.
idea
Like he's
what you're doing?
doing, and he's showing off all his wealth and stuff like that. It's very, very black men with new power. You know, the type of guy, as opposed to like a white guy who maybe shows you like his watch and a fancy suit. You know, to showcase stuff and leaves the rest for himself. So he has these very
Mhm.
different, very specific capability and feeling. And the fact that he does not hate the travelers when they come in or show any resentment towards them. In fact, he treats them with more respect than the merchants. You know,
By a lot.
that really says a lot about him. Like, I think he personally respects more keeping your shit together and, doing good business than he does racial stuff. It's just, this is the most profitable thing, and he's sort of congregated to it and taken that over. Yeah.
150%. In fact, that was something I kind of had a thought earlier when we were talking about the way the way the merchants could be doing way better if they actually focused on the shit that they were good at rather than the stuff they were bad at. I personally think that while
Right?
Kaiser probably doesn't hate him for being black or even being poor, he probably hates him for being a really shitty leader. He's like, I don't respect you at all because you're a fucking dumbass who got handed power somehow because you clearly have no idea how to wield it.
Right? Yeah, you didn't earn anything you have, and you don't have much, yet you brag about it, screw you. That's really how he comes off with it. And it's really because he doesn't go and say, Gru, get out of my table and send Tattletale here or something. He doesn't do anything like that when, Gru's black. But you could just say, maybe he doesn't know, but he would know. Come on, he'd know by this point.
Yeah, you can hear him talk.
Honestly, he'd have figured it out.
Dude is not the most, especially with his costume choice and everything. He's not the most subtle. But I mean, he does probably respect Gru quite a lot, who has his shit together, right? Or at least appears to.
Right, and his crew has gotten shit done, especially towards the people we are talking about tonight, and everything. So that shows something about him, because if he was just a straight up white supremacist and didn't care about the other things so much, you wouldn't want Gru at the table. That's who he would have kicked out. He said, no black people at the table, but you didn't do that. So
it's interesting that
that was really interesting. I think it says a lot about his character.
Yeah, it's just finding it interesting that the leader of the white supremacists is the most nuanced character at this table so far. Except for the characters that we know already, the Undersiders, he's the one who we see the most of and get to know the most, at least until near the end of the meeting where Coil starts to open his mouth and make stuff move.
Yeah, I love Coil. I do. He's great. Him and his whole crew, they're wonderful. Thank you. So
that is
I want to talk about the other part of.
Sorry, it's just
the other part of.
Oh man.
Oh my god. Yeah. But they remind me of a lot of the people who if you had to work with people that they were more of the ones you would be happy that you're working with, if you're doing illicit bad shit and you have to be around these kinds of people and stuff, you want the people like Coil to be the ones you're hanging out with and doing something, because they're not gonna slit your fucking throat live once meeting up at a house and talking. They're there to get job done and do the job and do that efficiently and well and then leave. That's exactly what you want. It's so good. But yeah, so they're goated with the sauce. I love them. Bine.
I just want you to remember that you said that later. So,
I'm sure they'll do some terrible, horrible things, just because I don't think I'm here not to. Yeah.
No, it's just you'll see. So after that, I guess that pretty much just leaves Coil, but you kind of gave your thoughts and opinions on that. Oh yeah, did anything about Fault Line's crew stick out to you at all? As a sort of aside, the interlude at the end of the chapter followed Gregor the Snail, which is one of Fault Line's crew members. She has a handful of them, and Gregor is an interesting character, especially when you talk about his appearance. It's a bit non-standard. So did anything about them trigger your brain here? And if you want to dive into the interlude before we get into the meat of the chapter, we can totally do that.
Well, fault line here. This is why I think Kaiser was at the by the door when it comes to the table scene, because it specifies that fault line walked all the way around the table, unnecessarily, to go right next to the table where Skinner's crew is at, and stared down Telltale, before she went and got a seat. Like, she had the sneer on her face and everything. So, I don't know if there's some bad blood there, or if it's something a little more
specifically says that there is,
personal.
For you. Yeah, so Regent,
Let
like,
me see here.
because the text is telling us, Taylor notices, and she's like, "What the fuck's up with that?" And Regent's like, "Oh yeah,
right. They took Spitfire.
Yeah. So essentially,
Fault Line's crew took Spitfire, whoever that is. Yeah.
So essentially, what happened was they, the Undersiders were like trying to recruit somebody, and then bitch did what bitch does, and just fucking attacked her, and she, unlike Taylor, didn't appreciate that at all, and fucking left, and she ended up signing up with Fault Line instead, and but the dislike between them goes further than that. There's a personal history between those two, and they don't like each other very much.
Yeah, I feel like there is. Like, Fault Line's crew is described as doing practically anything. And when we do get to the interlude, we see that Fault Line does a lot of information figuring out. Like, she figured out for Gregor DeStale who had taken him. Well, she don't know exactly who. She'll never pinpoint to, like, this is their social security number. But, she figured out a bunch of stuff, which, again, is part of my justification rant that I was having at the beginning of here. It's like, yes, people are being taken, powers are being generated by that, and all of that stuff. So, yes, I was like, so good. Also, just talking about that bit in general here, the really cool thing was, when we present the history of the people being taken, we see that the first people who were, like, taken and dumped off somewhere, like, basically poop darted, and, like, Safari moved. It's really funny to me. But, like, to have that happen were those who were very obviously empowered. Like, look at me, I got wings, or my whole flesh is snails and, like, shells and shit. So that was really good to know, because I'm like, I'm like, okay, they were stealing, like, what is it called? I can't remember the word for it, but when you make say you're trying to engineer something like, this will make rabbits not have cancer, you put something onto that DNA that you're putting into them that lets you know it worked. They got it. Like, these rabbits glow in the fucking dark, and now they don't get cancer.
Yeah, like genetic mark.
That. Yeah, so they were stealing these things that make it obvious someone has been changed, so they have the genetic mark that you got powers. And then we see that later on they were starting to steal people of different kinds who it wasn't so visible, of different things. So I was like, yeah, they stole the genetic mark to make sure they were putting the things into people and stuff, and now they know they can do it, so now they can start, selling you without that stuff because they know it works. Then yeah, they've been able to get to people get powers from them, or at least it said they do. So that's really neat. Then we have some sort of, like, broker there who deals out powers, basically, which is really neat. But are they temporary? Are they permanent? How do they work? All that other stuff. We don't know exactly the specifics.
Yeah, this is setting stuff up.
But we have someone looking into it, so that's cool.
But yeah, it's that stuff's important. There's definitely a lot of missing information you don't have yet.
Let's another. Yeah. Yeah, what's that other guy's name? The one with the ladies at the end there, who got hurt during the fighting.
Neuter. He's orange.
Neuter.
Has a tail.
Yes. He is orange, yes, has a tail, yes. Well, yeah. That's
Psychedelic
interesting.
shit.
I'll talk more about him in a bit, but yeah, that was really
Mhm.
cool. Was so good though. Let's see here. The interactions between these different people sort of just, basically, our guy is like Gregor the Snail is kind of like this loner dude who's given up on a bunch of stuff, like the depressed teenager, basically, of the group. That sort of attitude. Like, he's still going around being helpful, and, he's even pulling some, like, Nosferatu style shit. Like, he was like, I'm a good motherfucker, but I'll hire people who aren't to go bring me stuff and whatnot, so I can do things for people and, like, bring food and stuff. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Really good, really cool.
His
Uh,
his interlude starts
he's
with
a little.
him paying some guy to go get him groceries, essentially.
Yeah. There's another really interesting aspect of him is he has that oh my gosh. But I'm looking up a proper word. I'm looking up a proper word. Proper word. Looking up the proper word. Yes, okay. Woof, okay. So, a specific kind of Down syndrome, people who have this certain kind, or you have it to a degree, behave similarly to a lot of the ways that he was doing. Like, I figured out something that could be a solution, whether or not it's violent or whatnot, and I'm going to enact it now to get it done. He does that. And we see that clearly there. And combined with the other aspects there, it makes you feel like he has that kind of mental, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, issue, I guess.
Like compulsion, maybe?
Back when I was, yeah. Back when I was, what do you call it, with, how to say it, Challenge Alaska and everything like that, like around those guys helping out and doing stuff there and whatnot. These guys still called themselves a highly offensive term, but like this is part of why I say a lot of offensive terms towards like people who have medical issues, because I was around too many of them and they say this stuff to each other. Anyways, I'm not gonna say it here, but yeah.
Yeah, you get the picture.
Like, I almost did, but yes. So I feel like he has that kind of issue to like some degree. And that combined with this huge physical change and whatnot, I think that's more of a way of the writer physically representing that mental difference in a way where anyone who's a random audience member can catch it and know there's something different about the way he behaves as well. So it's interesting. And I do find it neat that he is specifically one of those who has taken everything when he acts like that. So this might be relating to other things I don't know about right now, but neat. It's really neat. Kind of
I have
good
my
to
own.
specify.
I don't think the text ever directly states anything specific about why he acts like that, but I have my own personal theories about utilizing information you definitely don't have yet.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
So.
Oh, darn. Let's go later.
Yeah, we'll just say that it might be a cultural difference. Also, I believe I don't.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they stated this, but everyone who man. So in the Gregor interlude, they talked about a couple of things that are very important, right? They discussed case 53s at least a little bit? I'm fairly certain, which are the capes that have had their appearance changed and have a special symbol marked on them somewhere, right?
Yes, I got mentioned.
Okay. They also mentioned that they all have amnesia.
Not that much, but
right?
again. Yes, but it didn't mention if that amnesia is short term or like full blown.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you, it's like complete and total amnesia. Where it's like they're not like mentally reset to
Okay.
zero and have to like start from like an like infant stage, but like if they have no, they still have like their personalities. They still understand whatever languages they spoke beforehand, that kind of thing. But they have no memory of who they are,
But
where
their
they
like
came
whole
from,
history of
or
things they've been through
anything
is
at all.
gone.
Yes, 100%. It's all gone, and
So that's an
there's
implanted amnesia.
been
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That
But
doesn't
it's
happen
interesting
from
that it
an
all happened.
injury caused one. That has to be implanted.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I
So
guess. Yeah, that's
it's
true.
not that
It
they're
is.
getting
It
injured
is
when they're taking
bizarre.
anything. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the
Yeah.
other thing they talk about, and
Damn.
this is interesting. It's but the reason. So uh, when talking about the his like behavior, right? You mentioned that like he's like, oh, I see a potential solution. I'm going to just do that, no matter how like
Do it.
socially unacceptable or
Yeah.
weird it might be. And so he meets his boss,
Or how much I
Faultlines,
get
who
hurt.
is
Mike, screw it.
yeah. So he meets his boss, and she is trying to cut wood with her power. And it just isn't working. So
Yes.
Faultlines' power is the ability to split things, but it only works on inanimate objects, right? So she's trying to cut wood with it, which is animate, and it because it's alive, and she just can't. Um, and this is where we finally get to discuss and explain the Manton limit, which I explained earlier in a previous chapter for expediency.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the reason that hadn't been explained up to this point until now is mostly because there wasn't really like a good opportunity to bring it up, rather than like this is a big dramatic reveal. It's like, oh, this is an interesting mechanic about how powers work, and I couldn't figure out where to put it in the text, so here's
Yeah.
an
It
interlude
just
about it.
gets
Um,
mentioned a little bit with Bakuda and like on
yeah,
in-universe way of talking about something people already know. And then this is moreover a like I've been studying this thing, let me refresh you on it type of situation, which works
mhm.
here under the context we're given, which is
So
nice.
yeah,
I like it. Meow.
she knows that it is possible for people who have powers that are Manton limited to bypass it somehow. There is a way to do it, and because there is a hero, a very famous hero named Narwhal, who is part of the guild, which is like the Canadian team. Um, Basically, like who works like she works with Dragon. I believe Narwhal is actually the leader of the guild. Um, and Narwhal is known for making force fields. And she was around for many, many years making force fields. And then something happened, and her mantle limit got removed, and now she can summon force fields inside of people and just bisect them, which is not normal. And so she knows for certain that there's a way to do it. She also knows that there's something called second triggers. And that is what
Yeah.
Gregor attempts to make happen, essentially. So he
To
just
activate. Yeah.
attacks Fault out of nowhere, saying nothing and trying to get her to trigger again.
See,
And it
I
doesn't work, obviously, but
okay. I
is very
personally
clear
think,
about
and
second
this
triggers.
goes towards my crazy Vecna theory, right? Is that I don't think there's actually an air quotes second trigger. I think a second trigger is what would be a build up happening all at once. And it's what I think happens anytime they experience basically a near death experience or something that, brings them to the edge and they need to pull on their power in this like incredible, ridiculous way that it builds up, like, and I think that is what caused it. And it's easy to look at that if you only see the like a big event and then it afterwards instead of like the few smaller events leading it up to where it's growing, 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 and then changes. You think second trigger event, instead of minor events to get up to this big point. with what I saw in this chapter, the
Mhm.
way that Taylor's power is working, the way we see Lung's power work, and what we get from this scene here, I believe it's more that way. And that's why I think that it's more like there's these build-up points and also like these choice points, and that will relate to like the term worm and wormholes and all that other stuff. And what got me to my crazy theory, like that's a very important part
So
of
it's
what
like
got me there.
milestone leveling versus.
Yeah,
It's just like milestone leveling versus experience leveling.
exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly. That's what's going on
Okay,
here.
that's an interesting
It's
theory.
really neat. I also love it because
Um,
if you wanted to
yeah.
make a role-playing game for this and whatnot, you have an easy way to incorporate in. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
The
wait, just wait until we
second,
get into other
yeah.
kinds of,
So let's see
triggers, because
here.
there's more. But they're not important yet. So,
Oh boy.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure that pretty much covers the important stuff of the interlude, unless you had any other thoughts about it.
Let's see here. Other thoughts of import. Meow 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 meow. Well, it's nice that we see our little druggy boy after he is mostly recovered. And we see the kind of people he's at, and that the club is a place that they're using. Oh, and how what's her name is dealing with stuff, and how she's having like a bad day essentially, and it's sort of just doing things in her own corner. And a bit of information we get about her and how she was found and everything, and how she was affecting the whole area and stuff when they were on a job, and so they took her and things. That was kind of interesting to get some
Oh,
information on.
yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Labyrinth, super fucking important. Yeah, so Labyrinth is a member of Faultland's crew, and she's not important yet, but God will she be. Um,
Yeah.
she's the reason why why Vista isn't the most powerful shaker in Brockton Bay. Um, she's let me
Yeah.
look her
Woof.
up really quick. So I remember her official uh rating here. So she is given
Oh,
um
where?
yeah, so she is given the extreme honor of being labeled a Shaker 12, which is, I'm pretty sure, the highest number that we've found so far. That's how fucking terrified the PRT, the Protectorate, is of her. Fighting her is a goddamn nightmare.
Rightfully so, from what I've seen. Yeah. Oh, before we move on, because this is the support. That the stupid meeting. I don't think that we actually talk about the hook wolf thing and my complaints there. Or did we not?
No, we haven't. We're not done with the meeting yet. We were just talking about the people in the meeting.
Okay.
So we'll
Okay.
get back to that.
Good. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Labyrinth. Pretty interesting. Really good to see sort of how they have like a system for handling her bad days. It's not quite perfect, but it's working for them. Yeah. And you would know it wasn't working if, because of what she can do, like, that place they're at, the club and everything, you would totally see that shit, if it like happened and stuff. Like, true, there's a lot of drugs and stuff going on, but some dumbass at some point would get it to where someone knows about it and someone would have the information to sell. If the stupid merchants were more successful in using their abilities right, they'd be the ones selling the information about where that place is and who's there and all that stuff. But, yeah, it's a lot easier for your place to get found with someone like that once the issues they have. So, they've done a good job because they haven't been found out by anybody yet, as far as we know. So, yay! Woo! Left.
Here you go. Here's a picture someone drew of Labyrinth. That
Yeah, I think.
well
I
encapsulates her.
think
Yeah. So
Labyrinth
she
has a lot going on.
there's definitely a lot going on.
Like, and
And
it's like
I
some
will.
sort of thing like what?
She's
So yeah, I like it.
yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil too much, but she is very very powerful, very very important, and also mentally not all there. In fact, when specifically Faultline went and like broke into an asylum to uh, quote unquote rescue her. Like, not entirely. It's not entirely like stated whether like or not she like needed like quote like actual
Yeah.
rescuing. Um, but they
I don't.
were. But Fallen's crew was very specifically interested in her, not because of like her what she could bring to the team to pull off jobs, but for relating to their investigation into Case 53. And they thought that she might hold some
Yeah.
answers.
Sure. Yeah. Have you ever met people who've
Unfortunately,
been like partially or fully lobotomized? She kind of feels like that.
yeah, like she's not like stupid or anything. She's just like really fucking distracting
Hey,
all
she
the time.
might be. I'm gonna
And
tell you right now. Manghe brother was for a long time. He's grown enough back to where he's no longer this, but he was clinically stupid. Had half a brain, literally. And grew back stuff and is alive and well and doing a job. So she might be. Hey,
I mean,
not
it's
like,
possible.
classically stupid like her dirt. Like something clearly happened. And she's not quite through it yet to the point where she's quasi-functional. She's like almost there, you know.
Yeah, it's
So
also
it's
interesting
really
that
interesting. I
like
don't know what happened to her specifically. I'm excited.
yeah, so it's interesting also that she has like the most like using the numbers to define who has a more in quotation marks powerful power isn't what their point was. The whole point of the rating of the numbers was like to dictate rules of engagement when having to fight them. It's more a rating of how dangerous like they are, right? Like a person who can produce infinite energy and a person who can create a microscopic black hole for half a second, right? Like the person who can create infinite energy is way more powerful, but the guy who can create a microscopic black hole for half a second is way more fucking dangerous in a fight, right? So that's kind of like the difference. Um, so it's interesting that she has
Yeah.
a rating of 12, and she is like so out of it, all the time. Um, it's possible that those things are related
Yeah.
somehow, but that
Yeah.
is more stuff
But
that
I,
is
I would
being set
say
up
so,
for
because
later.
I feel like she's someone who, okay, if we were playing a TTRPG, she's the character the player who said, I want my character to be really high level, and I want to do it as the start. Oh, what? I want to play level 15 out the gate, baby. I know it will start level 1, but let's do it, homie. And it's like, well, the price you gotta pay, right? Like, let's think like Vampire the Masquerade or whatnot. Like, think about the
Mm,
flaws you're gonna have to take if you want that extra boost, man. And they're like, give me all of them.
um,
Oh,
yeah, Mr.
if
Game
you can
Master,
get
sir,
all
can I have 20? Can I have 24 points worth of flaws? There's something specific I want to do. you know,
for you, homie,
yeah,
anything. But yeah, no, there's characters like that in the old Vampire the Masquerade manuals, though, where like there's that one character who's like a living fetus that gets thrown around between the different groups and stuff. But he's so crazy powerful and whatnot. But like he's literally he doesn't even have legs or anything. Anything. He literally just a little fetus they throw around. But yeah, so she feels like a character like that, where they're like, give me all the stuff, I'll take all the problems. Let's go. And those kind of characters
yeah,
are a lot of fun to play and to deal with as a DM. You're like, Jesus Christ, they're never gonna lose a contest them, whatever they're good at. But They're not winning a
Mhm.
contest of whatever they're not, you know? They're,
I will say, Labyrinth might be the single biggest reason why I would fucking love to see some sort of visual adaptation of the story, because the way her power functions is so fucking cool, and I want to see it so bad. Um, they don't
right?
really get
Like,
into the
I had to
descriptions of
read
it
through it a
here,
few
but
times to really physically, like, get it down in my head of,
yeah,
like, the thing that what it
it's
did.
it's
It felt like the the Fey parts of gargoyles, the animated series gargoyles, like when they were dealing with fairy stuff and they're doing all sorts of weird stuff. It felt like that to me, and as I'm listening, I'm like, this would look so good, if done right. Like, oof, the right team on that, that's gonna look amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it does. They don't get too deep into it here, but you do get to see her using her power on a much wider scale later. But
yeah, it's so fun.
yeah, for those of you listening, the way her power
It's
functions
it's a
is
little
that
wonky, but the full chapter is
the more she stays in one place, the more her power spreads out and suffuses an area with just it's like an aura around her that grows and grows and grows, and it's completely invisible, undetectable. The longer she kind of stays in one spot and doesn't move too quickly, the bigger it gets, up to a truly ridiculous size. And um, she basically imagines a world and superimposes it over that area. And she can selectively let people interact with either the real world or her made up one, which is fucking terrifying. She's so goddamn
you
scary.
know. Even what we've seen, her made up
Um,
one currently looks a lot like a chessboard, but with some differences. So it was a really
yeah, she
fun
has a
change
bunch
in
of them.
visuals that I felt was needed to really get some visual
Yeah.
how I say it, not acuity, like differences into this chapter. And I think with what we
Mhm.
got so much
Dark,
visual,
gritty
not
city.
dissonance, because that's like that done wrong, but stuff separating out where we get really good
Through
separation of different
line
kinds of visuals.
consistency.
Let's just say it like that. But
Yeah.
the cinematography here was really great at the different types of places we got to see or whatever. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
get the effect. I don't know how to say it
But
right
yeah,
now.
I just really want to see a world
No, no.
like a city block melt into a fantasy land on the screen. I think that's so fucking cool. um
Yeah, like we've seen them twist and turn into kaleidoscopes, but I want to see it go that way. Yeah. Oh, it'll be
yeah,
nice.
so right, back to 5.1, the meeting. Um
Right, right.
we've now finally covered all the people here. I guess, to be fair, there were a lot of people to cover. And we also covered the interlude, so we won't need to do that later. That's pretty much everything. Uh, yep. So basically the meeting happens. I'll very briefly describe kind of how things go. Um, Kaiser tries to take the lead here and is like, "Hey, we need to take over. Like, we need to do something about this bombing campaign is bad for all of us. No matter how true or incorrect that is." And he kind of tries to get everyone on board, and people kind of don't like it
Yeah,
very
it's a
much.
very
Um, and then Coil kind of snakes in there and says a few things, and he's like, the traveler's like, yeah, we're just kind of here. We don't have a stake in this. He's like, I'll
he.
pay you. They're like, okay, cool. I guess we'll help.
Honestly,
And then Fault
the
Line's like, we don't do
way
anything for free. He's like,
Coil
I'll pay
does
you
this,
too.
I just say, I gotta say, the way Coil does
Hmm.
this is like if you ever seen an old man who's just fed up with everyone's BS, and they just do that slow of like their chair, and then stand up slowly, like almost like a bow, but in reverse, and then walk on up and take care of business. Like That's how he handles this situation and just gets everyone on board for it because he's like, no, I need this, so you all need it. Let's go. And he just handles
Yeah.
it. Love it. And it's truly great.
So it's also an interesting thing that
Oh my god,
nobody
it's
knows
Jess.
what Coil's power is, like, at all. Or if he even actually truly even like has one in the first place. No one's ever seen evidence of it. So do you think that that might have something to do with his power, just out of curiosity? The way he was able to take over the media.
Yeah, I have a few theories.
Okay. Yeah, actually, let's hear. Like, what do you think Coil's powers are?
Okay, so a few things it could be, but theory number one is he is the Undersider's boss, and they don't know it yet, or Tattletale does know and is keeping it hush hush. Now, it makes it. There's a reason I think that, and it's because he's been able to get all these people together and hold this important ground. So if he has a power, I think it might have to relate to something like that. Like maybe he can tell where places of like economic growth and stuff are at. Or maybe he has some sort of information gathering ability similar to Tattletale, or in an entirely different direction than her. And, that could be important. However, it could be that he didn't have powers, and is someone who, how do I say it? Did things to try and get them. Like how we hear the air quote secondhand tools used by someone made by a tinker and stuff like that. He could have done something like that, to get where he has the tools that he needs to take care of any situation without being someone who has a power in and of themselves, but, has access to things made by someone who does, or something along those lines. Or he could even have a really simple power, like, there's a few different really interesting powers that could exist here that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen one like robes, where, if you touch someone, you steal their power. We haven't seen anything like that. He is someone who might have something like that. He might also have something where his ability is channeling powers together or something. So say someone like Kaiser touches him, and then someone like Taylor touches him, then he might become like a conduit and have temporarily a power that combines those two in a different way. So something along those lines are what I think might be going on with him. Either going to be information based or something so specific that it requires others with abilities or weaponry, because you see him using it a lot, to utilize him. It's also possible he's just someone like Daredevil, where his abilities thing is enhanced abilities, So I'm thinking somewhere in those ranges,
and
if anything.
Iron Bug. I think Uber is probably the closest thing we've seen to like Daredevil so far, right?
Yeah, he's the closest one we've seen so far. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I think if he's got anything, it's something in those directions. Or it's something, yes, I feel more like it's information-based power, just because of the way he carries himself and the way he acted there. It also feels like he knows more about everybody and their motivations who's there. That feels right to me.
Okay. So your leading strongest theory is that he has an information gathering based ability and is the Undersider's like secret boss.
Yes, or is connected to their secret boss. Like, that feels right to me. So yeah.
Oh, there's a
he might be their number one, air quotes or whatever.
Says that gives everyone who appears in the. God damn it! Well, that would have been useful earlier. Oh right, Night and Fog show up here. I forgot. Forgot they were here with Purity. They're fucking scary. Yeah, I think we covered everybody else.
Yeah, the two people who are with her, and
There's a reason why they're fucking scary,
Yeah.
but we'll get into that later. They'll be around. Right. So
Yeah. Let's
meeting.
get to the wannabe Wolfman.
Wannabe Wolfman. Hookwolf.
Yeah, that POS. I don't.
Oh yeah. I
Okay.
guess
So
they probably sat at the table with Hookwolf. But they're like purities, like friends. Hookwolf is here by himself,
yeah,
I
her
guess.
cronies.
Cricket and
Yeah.
Sunfire are not here. So yeah, Kaiser shows up with Fenya Menya, Nightfog, Purity, Krieg, and Hookwolf. So Krieg was here. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, no, that's too
Okay.
important. Those are people who we'll see more of later. Uh, so I think it's finally time for you to give us your full opinion um, on Hookwolf's problem with bitch.
I don't. Okay. So I understand what the writer was trying to do with Huckwolf, but wrong. You did it wrong. You sucked at it. Meh. But I'm sure you get better. But yeah, it's just lack of experience in these sorts of situations. So what? What? Okay. So there's so many possibilities for like subtle communication, shows of power, like power plays, and like, I just, okay. So, what the writer intended with Hookwolf, let's go with that first, and then how I feel about what happened. So, what the writer intended with Hookwolf was clear as low as supposed to be, is Kaiser has a minion there who he's gonna use to make the Undersiders trip up. Because they're gonna say something, and then that's gonna trip him up. They're gonna say some stuff, and he's gonna accuse them of some, bullshit, and they're gonna have to defend themselves. Saying, no, we're not doing that. Blah, 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 blah. It's sort of how it goes. But it's not done right. The way it's done is cartoony, unrealistic, and not how this would have ever gone. So, the floor is opened up, and it's opened up by Coil, because, Kaiser opened up a little earlier, then Coil came on, Coil does his stuff, and then he reopens basically the floor to everybody. Like, do you have announcements, offers, grievances, stuff like that? And then Hookwolf comes in saying, I'm a whiny bitch. Not his exact words, but he says, I've got a complaint to some shit. And then he's like, meh. Oh, we get a little information about him at the time. Like, he's escaped from going to the worst prison ever that no one's escaped from. Like, he escapes on the way to it several times, but, he was supposed to go there and hasn't gone there yet. So clearly, he keeps screwing up in big enough ways where it's public knowledge he screwed up a lot, So, honestly, I don't think he should have been at this meeting at all. But again, I think the writer had him there as, like, he's supposed to trip up the Undersiders. But I wouldn't have brought him if I was Kaiser. Like, nah, you stay the fuck out of this. It was that like this. So he immediately goes to insulting one of the people's minions who's here. And, that leads to them having a conversation, air quotes, conversation, and him complaining again that these people successfully attacked his business, ruined it for him, and the only reason they were successful is because he wasn't there to fight them when his whole place got ruined. Oh, whoa. I want restitution, because where? Now, and Crew has to go, you should know better, dumbass. And then, from that, he's more like,
literally says,
wait, I'm going to do it again. And then Kaiser's
Gru literally says, like,
got it,
everyone,
Kaiser's like, what was,
yeah.
get a decoration, woo. Anyways, yeah, continue.
Um,
You go ahead. I'm so upset.
yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, Gru literally says like Nazis, like you're Nazis. It's everyone knows that you beat up black people and kill them, right? And like we all just accept that and deal with it. You like everyone should know right here that bitch cares about dogs more than human beings, and if you set up dog fighting rings, it doesn't matter where you go. She's going to come kick your ass and take your dogs, right? Um, and it's a very
Yeah.
reasonable and like correct argument, and they don't seem to really care because logic is not in the white supremacy like playbook.
And Hookwolf tries to throw in some random dog crap about like, well, if you're gonna attack my business, you should let me know you're coming first and stuff. Again, things that work with the law.
Yeah,
These are the types of arguments that work with legal proceedings and whatnot. But this is not how criminals work or ever have worked. And all of his shit is making it look like Kaiser's crew relies entirely on the law and cannot function without it to defend themselves or matter at all. Everything coming out of Hookwolf's mouth is basically saying that Kaiser's gang is a bunch of weak bitches who you can beat just by not talking to us and kicking our ass. That's what he's saying with everything he's saying that's coming out of his mouth. You know?
Yeah.
And Kaiser doesn't take it that way. Kaiser should be incredibly offended about this guy doing this stuff. And like, maybe not going out of his way of like killing this bitch right now, but putting him in his place and saying, you're as weak as the merchants and stuff. You're only here out of like obligation to your dad or something, I don't know if he was dead, but something like that. To prove a point that guy's my weakest guy. If he did that, it would make his weakest guy being the guy who escaped from going to the worst prison several times. That's how everyone would see it from there. He could have turned this around and make himself look good. But he didn't. Instead, he says to Gru, well, not, is that a declaration of war, Undersiders? When his dumbass guy is trying to declare war about something that happened before this truce began. Like this is not how this works. That guy would be the one getting in trouble in a real version of the situation because he's making his whole crew, his gang, look bad. Even if what he's saying, if the rest of them feel that way and stuff, this is not the place for that. This makes everyone look weak. It makes Kaiser look weak. It makes it like, oh, I can assassinate this guy. Why don't we try when he walks out of here? Like, we could do this. Look, we're all here. We could take this guy now. Like, his minion's setting himself up for all sorts of problems that happen to him, to Kaiser. Like, what the hell? I've never seen a boss person of any sort of group put up with that kind of shit without putting that guy in their place or taking them aside afterwards and doing some horrible fucked up shit to that person. So yeah, that was very unrealistic for how this goes down. But again, I know what the writer was trying to do, but they failed to accomplish that in a believable method. This is very cartoon feeling. But yeah. Do ask. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of other things in there like, Gru's like, I'm not going to stop my teammate from doing what she's going to do. And he's all like, oh, more like, you can't, ho, 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 oui, baguette, hon, hon. And I'm like, this is so fucking cartoony, but I see what you're going for. But at the same time, you didn't do it right.
Meanwhile, I'm like, who the fuck wants to fight bitch? That seems like a really bad time.
Right? Like,
you're like,
this guy and everything he's saying there's just making them look bad.
Yeah, she's like most of our muscle and also like our escape plan. She's like the getaway driver and has the bazooka. Like, like if she had any like desire or care or ability to lead, she'd probably be the leader. But she doesn't give a shit and probably I couldn't if he tried.
Yeah, like that she's already busy being a leader of her pack, man. You're gonna throw humans on top of that? Like,
Yeah,
woof. Yeah.
literally woof.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, this whole thing was very cartoony because I don't think the writers ever been to any meeting like this, like ever in their lives.
No, no.
Yeah. So they just don't understand it, so it's very cartoony. Woof.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the gist of the meeting.
I think we got most of the
So then we
stuff
got
that was important about it.
yeah. So they basically they go outside and Gru is tries to impress upon Rachel that she needs to communicate and tell them what she's doing so that they don't get surprised by random shit all the time. And Taylor connects with her a
Well,
little
and he
bit. And it's like,
actually botches his communication. So yeah,
yeah, like
now Gru
Gru himself is not all that good at
tries to
communicating.
do this, and yeah, so Gru tries to do this thing. And if you're playing like Vampire Masquerade, I know I'm using it a lot here, but come on. There's a thing that can happen where in certain editions, there's like a different colored dice you roll. And if that one is the one that gets you a success, it's called like a bloody success. Which means you do the thing, but in the most like screwed up way possible. And I feel like this was Gru getting a bloody success on a communication thing. Because it felt like he wanted to have this dad talk to her and get it into her head that like, this is a screwed up thing, my kid. I went there. We all could have died. I didn't know what I was saying. I was doing it. If you just told us, we'd be fine. Well, what came out happening was like, ooh, punchy man, abuser voice, ugga mugga. And then he's like, I fucking hate myself for this, like, what the fuck? I hate that you make me like this, And I was just like, yeah, he's not doing so hot. He screwed that whole thing up. And he recognized that he did, but that doesn't mean anything if, you still fuck up. So,
Mhm.
yeah, he's feeling awful. And for Rachel, it's kind of like, I'm in this moment of things are bad now. And, Tattletale tries to do something with that, like talk to her to get her sort of back in marriage. She's like, I'm still in a moment where everything's bad now. And then
Yeah,
that ends, and then she's like, okay, we're walking now. Da da da. Sort of like puts herself in that state. Yeah.
yeah. It's like um,
With.
Gru could communicate with her effectively if he understood her, but he just doesn't. And Tattletale understands her, but is really bad at communicating in general, because she just can't help but piss people the fuck off with the way she delivers information, and
And
bitch is very
pride.
easily pissed off. Yeah. So neither of them. So they
Okay.
both have like halves of the puzzle, and so then kind of, and then Taylor comes in at the end and is like, "Hey man, I love the fact that you're rescuing those dogs. That's a great thing. Good job." And yeah, it goes. It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. There's this thing. You
Um,
stop them, made them bleed. Good. And yes. You
mhm.
So, love that. That was beautiful. Hitting the mall scene is the next thing that happened. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that I forgot how early this happened. Oh my god. Yeah. So,
I,
oh man, this scene probably read differently after the you figured out who Shadowstalker was so early. Um,
yeah, this
so
happened
normally when
afterwards,
you're
man.
reading through the story
If I hadn't
and
come
you
to that
haven't
conclusion, I would have figured it out here.
yeah, like if you hadn't leapfrogged from
I know.
uh like like Sophia being Gru's sister, to to the Shadowstalker thing, you probably would have been a little surprised here with how Taylor was pretty much knuckled down pretty bad here.
Right,
But Taylor ends
this
up
chapter
getting
is
out
where
of
I
it.
would have come to the conclusion that, oh, Sophia is Shadowstalker. And this is where I would have got it if I didn't have that other theory. You know, because I was like, oh, she's acting such a way, and then make a connection to the Emma and this. Who does Emma know? Who's like a hero? What about the size stuff? You know, but yeah, this is where I would have got it.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, and we
Yes.
finally get to see Taylor fucking knock Emma around a little bit here in the mall. So yes, Taylor and her dad
Oh yeah.
are shopping, and they run into Alan, who's Emma's father, and Emma, and Taylor just wants to leave, but Danny and Alan are old friends, so they sit there and they're talking and they're talking and they're talking and they're talking, and Emma is her smug, bitchy self, and Taylor's like, fuck it. I was just in a meeting with a whole lot of extremely dangerous mass murderers. I don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, even though there's two heroes right there plus the
characters.
police force. So yeah.
Yeah, not the smartest.
Shadowstalker and yeah, pretty lady. What's her name? Shadowstalker and the other one who's like, look at me, I'm so pretty. That's how I read her. You know, is like she's moreover like a look at me kind of hero. Like, you know, I am this thing of hope and justice. She's like that kind of symbol. Whereas Shadowstalker's the I'm gonna beat your ass kind of symbol. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember the other girl's name though.
Battery.
Battery, yes. And then her brother was in Salt. When I read her name, and it was Battery, I was like, oh my god, I hope she like fights someone named Assault later, or teams up with someone named Assault. It'd be so good. Like, you imagine a chapter name being Assault and Battery. It's like those two are fighting or something. Oh, it'd be so good. But like, yeah, literally her brother's name is all. It's like, blah, peak fiction. Let's go.
Well, we
20 out of 10.
Yeah, we don't know that that's her brother. That's just a thought. That's a possibility. Their relationship could be pretty much anything.
Oh yeah, people say that he's probably her brother or a relationship or both.
Mm-hmm. We actually,
and there's people who think they're Sweet Home Alabama-ing it. Yeah.
Yeah. We like the assault and battery end up being kind of important later on. And we do get to see into them and their history, which is a really fascinating part of like a side to the story that I like a lot. I know a lot of people didn't like. There's a lot of characters and moments and stuff in the story that people that I've talked to were like, I didn't really give a shit. And so I'm excited for you to get there because I want to hear what your thoughts are. I have the same thought about Miss Militia. I think Miss Militia is a great character. I love her a lot. I think she's awesome. She's not perfect, obviously, but that's part of her character, and she goes through it. And I've always been like, so what do you think of like this character, that character, that character? I talk to people who like read into the story, and they're like, I didn't really like Miss Militia very much. I'm like, how? I've never got it, so I'm curious to see what your opinion is when we finally get to her part of the story, because I think it's fucking great.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, here at the mall,
yeah.
Taylor lashes out and slaps them across the face, or punches her, one of the two. And Shadowstalker dies on, or who we now know is Taylor, dies on top of her. Tackles to the fucking ground.
So, yeah, what is interesting is the way this goes down is an adrenaline hit because of a trigger. So we get the same smile, and remember, it's that smile and thing that Emma said earlier about her mom dying and stuff like that, and how she basically said, oh, it's okay for anyone to kill you or your family. That's fine and morally justified. Everyone should do it. Is basically what she said. And she puts the smile on that was, on with that same thing she said before. And then Taylor just lets her have it without even acknowledging what she's doing. She just does it, And I've been in that situation. I've done that a few times with people, and that is what it is. Like, you don't really notice what's going on until after it's done. Like, there's this one guy who, it's middle school, I remember that much, and we're playing, I think, soccer or something out there, and he says something to me after, like, my teammate was pulled away and stuff like that to go talk to the teacher or whatever. And he says something to me, and I don't remember what it was anymore. It's been so long, but it was like that. And afterwards, he was on the ground, and I was like 5 feet away from him. And what happened was I jumped up and kicked both his shoulders into the ground with my feet. Yeah, I jumped on top of him like that and slammed him into the ground. And then just, walked off a few feet. Yeah, I got suspended because I like right in front of everybody. But like that's the only time I had anything like that happen publicly like that. That's happened in a few other places. But it is just like that. Like, click, you did the wrong thing, bam, it's happened. Oh, okay. Now dealing with it. So she had that happen to her here. And that was really a poignant piece to mention. And then she starts, like having her like not like laughing or whatever, but she basically like laughing. So like she just lets it go. She feels like laughing, and her dad has to explain. Oh, she's been through some stuff, and does his best to deal with it, whatever.
Yeah,
and then
she got hit by a bomb.
Finally, so,
got her some slack.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, Sophia is helping, as Shadow Stalker is helping out Emma and everything after that. Yeah, but yeah, so that was written really realistically to how it's experienced. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That's probably something that the author
like
has experienced actually at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I could believe it. If they didn't, then someone they know went through that and they had a good talk about it. Yeah.
So yeah, kind of after that, like Sophia isn't as unfair here as she probably wants to be. Because like it is in public and she does have like, an actual like full adult hero here monitoring her. But also like
and the police. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just a ton of people watching. But like she's like actually like surprisingly like reasonable. Where you're like, oh, she does have another side, like a professional side that she presents when she's like, on the job, right? Like this is like almost a different person.
For me, it was not that at all for me. It was very much the police officer who wants to break the law and everything and wants to do horrible things, but is skirting around it, doing like what they have to avoid getting in problems for doing that, like asking you to go outside of your house when legally you have no reason to step out at all. You'll be like, oh yeah, come out here and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Or, any reason to get in your house, being like, we heard someone might be in there who's like a dangerous fellow when there was no report like that or stuff. She's doing like the equivalent, but under heavy scrutiny where everyone's watching. And I feel like, she's playing just enough of the game to not get in trouble when really she just wants to choke this bitch out. Basically.
Yeah.
It's a little simplified, but that's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
It's not, she's holding herself back as opposed to it being like turned on a different mode. That's how it feels to me.
Okay. because like the kind of the vibe I kind of got was like while she's in school, she kind of just like literally does what the fuck she wants because she knows she can get away with it and no one cares. But as soon as people who are watching who actually have some measure of power over her, she's like puts on this front of being like, yeah, no, I'm totally like a hero, just like who is sane and reasonable. Even if she's definitely like having to restrain herself, but she does it like she's capable of doing that and like appearing to be like a different person in front of other people, at least.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, and then,
Um,
like, we we finally have fucking Taylor tell her dad, like, Emma's the one who's, like, the ringleader of torturing me. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
finally, yeah. So they leave, they get in the car, and she's like, yeah, um, like she basically said that both of us could go die, and that it would be an improvement, essentially. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and so like she finally admits some shit, and Danny pulls the car over and gives her a hug and shit, and so it's an important moment, I think.
I know that. Yeah.
Also, we learned that there's a curfew while
Exactly.
due to there being a terror attack.
Yeah, that, a really early curfew, too. It's not like 9 or 10, which, I've been in areas where it's like 10 to 11 have been like the curfew. I've been in places like that when things were going down. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's incredibly early. It's like what, 7 or 6 is theirs? Like, woof. Never been in a situation like that. That's wild. Woof. Yeah.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and
after
then we
that,
get to
the
the
next,
school and them trying to handle
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. So
And
she,
it
yeah,
goes
so
realistically.
yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, to me, this scene felt ridiculous, but not in like the way, oh, that's ridiculous, that's shit, that would never happen, but like ridiculous in that sort of way of like, yeah, no, this is exactly how this would go, and it's fucking absurd that how true this is,
Yeah.
and kind of depressing. Um, where basically,
Oh yeah.
like
One hundred percent.
she's pulled into an office with that's like the basically the principal's like, hey, there's going to be a meeting, and so Danny and Taylor walk into this meeting with very little notice, um, and they sit down, and basically everyone else in the room is like against them and has had a lot of time to prepare, and so she's like, yeah, so this is what's been happening, and they're like, nah, and she's like, well, this is what's been happening, and they're like, nah. And she's like, well, here's some evidence, and they're like, hearsay. and and
Yeah.
she just gets and she's
Yeah.
like, fuck this, fuck you, fuck everything, like, but also she's like, this is pretty much exactly
Oh,
what I expected to
there's one
happen. I'm
other
not even
thing.
mad at
There's
this
one other
point.
thing. She says I specifically don't want to have this kind of punishment because they're gonna do this. And then they
Hmm.
go, well, we'll apply a little punishment to them and it'll be exactly the thing you don't want.
Yeah,
They don't. It was like,
yeah, like,
yeah, this is
yeah, so basically
exactly how this shit
she
goes.
she yeah, she gives an extremely reasonable argument as to why that she doesn't want this to happen, and then they're like, well, like, we can punish them, and we'll do that because you don't want it. And they're like, oh, and then when you're like, fuck you, no. They're like, well, we tried to be reasonable. We offered to punish them, and they said no because that wasn't good enough. And make you out to be the fucking unreasonable one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's classic,
Yep.
like, your bureaucratic bullshit.
Yes, what happens. This is what happens. Like, I've literally had my face head down and pushed so that my teeth popped out and broke and cracked into the concrete of the gutter, on school grounds. And I got in trouble for that happening to me. So, yeah, this is exactly how this shit goes down. 100%. Fucking, yeah, there's not even a single bit of embellishment here. Except, sometimes they'll want cops to be present there as well, and they'll get ones they know. So they'll be like, yeah, those guys who got hurt are really bad people. Like, the fuck? So, yeah, this is just 100% a realistic way this goes. And yeah, and she had a nice reaction of saying, hey, fuck it, I'm gonna go be with my criminal friends. Which, again, that's how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. This is exactly how this is the pipeline, right? To being a criminal. When the law fucks you over at every single goddamn opportunity, nothing ever gets done. You're like, what other fucking choice do I have? Do I continue living in fucking misery, getting shit on all the time? Or do I say, fuck it, grab a gun and go rob a bank? Right? Like, those are two really shitty options,
Yeah,
but at least one of them, you're not completely miserable, right?
Right. When I hang out with my, my buddies, air quotes, I knew as long as there wasn't weed, and if there was weed, I was not, looking away from open doorway or open space, I had a wall behind me, I'd be fine. I wasn't going to be in a gutter, and if someone tried to beat my ass and put me in a gutter, or break my teeth, or tear them out, or skin my fingers, or any of this other shit, there'd be people to back me up. So of course I'd be there. Fuck you other guys. I'm going where I've got some sort of backup. Screw you.
Yeah,
I don't care if that means, hey, we're gonna go over here and literally attack people trying to kill them. It's so better because I have backup.
Yeah, and then the people with, in power point at you, and you're like, oh, look at them going being a criminal. We were right the whole time, right? And it's like, it's just the fucking worst.
No. I only had a problem with, like, actual cops who weren't, like, ones who were paid off by one group or another. We just had to talk our ways to it right. One time. And that was it. Because everyone else was paid off and we just gotta know who it was and, talk your way through that. So, one time, no official, like, records or anything like that. And I told you how the people I was hanging out with and stuff and the things they did. Like, no, they don't care about real crimes and stuff. They just want little basic bullshit and their bribes. Like, that's it, what they can get away with. It's really fucked. Once you've been screwed over by the system, you don't ever see them for what few good ones there might actually be. You never think about it. You only see the worst. And yeah, she's definitely in that boat now. Yep.
And yeah, she's like, and finally at the kind of at the cusp here, right? Like, when like they're finally like when they're running out of arguments, she's basically like I don't even care about whether they get punished at all. I just want to leave. And they're like, nah, you're stuck here. You're stuck
they
here.
denied her that.
Fuck you guys, I'm gonna bring a goddamn gun to school so you fucking expel me. I'm like, I swear to God. And Danny's like trying to calm things down, but they're like, yeah, no, like we're still not budging on any of this. And then Alan, who is like a lawyer of some kind, is like basically threatens to sue them until they run out of money, even though like Taylor had a perfectly like good like out for what was at the end of the day a rather minor attack in public. And he's like, yeah, no, you're probably right where we couldn't get the charges to stick, but you're gonna run out of money. Right? He's like, I'm rich, you're not.
Yep.
I'm gonna just bankrupt you, and that will be enough for me. Like, I don't actually care whether she goes to like
juvenile detention or whatever. And so she's like, all right, so yeah, fuck you guys, I'm out. I don't even care anymore. I'm not coming back. Fuck you. And then she calls the police and says, I wanna knock some shit out of knock the shit out of some people. She's like, perfect. Everyone's about to go raid the ABB. So put your suit on and get ready for a fight.
Right. We're gonna do a little cut here. I'll be right back. Abooga, abooga, achuga, tuga, booga.